Okay, so we're back on Shalom Bayit. We're on page 247. 247, we're on chapter 11. We're almost done with the book, Be'eznat Hashem. And,
Maybe somebody touched it.
yeah, I don't know. Okay, so yesterday we were just going to finish up of this divorced guy. We said that once the divorce happens, unfortunately, right, you didn't do what you have to do and you got divorced. He said, try to make amends with the woman. Because it cannot be that you're going to go and all this time have a grudge against her. She has a grudge against you. You're fighting. Then we said there's children involved. Yeah, don't use them as pawns, which many ex-husbands and ex-wives do. They use the children as pawns. You know what a pawn is? It's okay. I'm going to use him not to call her. I'm going to use him not to do this. You understand? And that's a big injustice that we're doing to the kids. He's here, says like this: a husband should never collar his wife with the responsibility of so then we are sorry. Then yesterday we also started a new chapter saying that guys, he said we said that money, parnasa, comes from malchut. Remember? It comes from this world source of that's called malchut. And therefore he says you have to make yourself kingly. You have to be a responsible individual. You cannot make the woman work, he says. You cannot make the woman work, by the way. He says you have to make the resolve that I'm going to be responsible for all the parnasa. You can't base your, since I cannot pay my mortgage. No. Listen, you're going to have to work because I won't be able to pay the mortgage. We can't do it. We can't go on vacation. We can't do that. None of that. He says if you want parnasa, shefa to come from you, you have to be kingly. You have to make yourself into a worthy person to be able to accept this parnasa. So we continue. He says a husband should never collar his wife with the responsibility of making a living, nor should he involve her with the problems and worries of making a living. I don't know, there's no money, there's no job. You come home, how was work? The best day I had, and you had no sales. No sales. Best day I had. She in your heart supposed to think, wow, very good, yeah? He should give to her in a generous and magnanimous manner. Yeah, if he can't, it's his problem and he should take care of it. Meaning, how much money you need, sweetie? 60? Here's 100. Don't worry about it. Yeah? What do you need, sweetie? Yeah, like that. We have a major problem with that. Major problem with that. I know a guy. His wife makes $3,000-$4,000 a month. He makes double or triple. And then when she wants something, $1,500, $2,000 worth of something for her, he makes a big deal. So I said to him, Devo, she makes $4,000. As long as she doesn't go over the $4,000, you're good. Anyway, it's the money she brings in. You gotta let her spend, So he says, no. Don't let her work and give her generously. Why? Look at this. This concept is major. Who gives the money? Hashem. He allots a certain amount of money for us, right? You think he doesn't know that your wife is going to ask a certain amount that he knows already. He knows in advance. I know, we Bukharis, but you have to curtail her. Don't put a collar on her thing. Again, listen. So imagine, even if you're such a good husband that she says, I want a $5,000 watch. Okay, June, no problem, watch. I want $1,500 shoes. Okay, no problem, $1,500. You think Hashem, for Shalom Bayit purpose, let's say she needs it, yeah? Let's say she needs it, right? You think Hashem doesn't know this? He knows 100%. And he's going to be, he's following the laws. I got you. Yeah? He says, the halakha says, Rambam says, he says, be magnanimous. You know what magnanimous means? When she asks you 100, like, 50 is enough. Go. Yeah, do something. No. Magnanimous is, she's asking 100, give her 200. It's hard. Listen, I'm in the same problem as you are. Don't worry. I'm also not a very big, it's not everybody like that. I know guys, they're not like that. Believe me, you know them also. But what I'm trying to say is, Hashem doesn't know that she's going to want to. So what do? You constrict. Hashem says, okay, then I have also constrict. I also have to constrict. Because why? If you have to give her $5,000, how much sales do you have to make? $50,000 in sales in order to give her $5,000. 50,000 because much 10%, 50%, right? So now you're thinking, business neto. You know why business neto? Because you're not giving the money. Give the money, more business. You understand? It's an automatic. But since we are low in emunah, the whole book is about emunah. The whole therapy that he uses in this book, emunah. Everything comes from Hashem. Yeah? He says, If he owes money, he should make every effort to pay his debt without upsetting her or involving her in these ways. Oh, I have so many loans, we have a mortgage, we have this, that. She doesn't need to know that. She's not your business partner. She's your wife. A person who you're supposed to enjoy, love, laugh, and live. She doesn't need to know all this baloney. Yeah? You know what tuitions we have, this we have, that we have. She doesn't need. For it's not her problem. It's his problem. She married him on the basis of his signed and solemn commitment. And he's the one that's not fulfilling it. You, under the chuppah, you have a whole contract. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing that. Where does it say you got to work for me? Yeah? Yes, the Gemara says that she works, you feed her, this and that, but we'll learn that. It's actually coming in Ketubot. The next 2-3 pages is going to be about that. Here, he says, a husband cannot use his outstanding debts as an excuse for her not providing for his wife's needs. He can't say, first I'll pay the loans, and then I'll provide for you. The duty to provide for her comes before repaying the loans. Yes, sir. Before paying the loans.
I want a $5,000 week.
Sweetie John, what you need? Maybe not $5,000 a week, maybe $2,500. You know what? 5,000. Yalla. You know why? Hashem says, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. So look what it says. Rav Nachman of Breslev also teaches that income is generated from the illumination of a wife's soul. For the money, he quotes, money comes to a person by virtue of the wife. Zohar, Parashat Tazriah, page 52. Open up Zohar, Parashat Tazriah, page 52. Let's repeat again. Money comes to a person by virtue of the wife. Now look at that. What a statement, I'll tell you. None of us are doing this. I know 1 or 2 guys that do it, but you know what he says? You keep the wife happy. Shkling, shkling, shkling. Zohar says, money comes to you like that. Try it, test it. Yeah. He says, a happy and joyous wife has an illuminated soul which serves as a spiritual catalyst for her husband's income. Therefore, there is no greater mistake than saddening or constricting the wife, arguing with her about money, or withholding her needs. When a wife can't buy what she needs or use money as she sees fit, the illumination of her soul is dulled and the income is constricted. You hear what he's saying? Why are you dulling her? The income comes from the light of her soul. So if she's happy, she's elated, wow, my husband is so good. Anything I want, again, if you fill up your wife with the emotional needs that she needs here, she's not going to want to spend. It's all such a beautiful circle that what he's saying is going to make sense only if you follow everything. It's like, wow, sure, sweetie, buy. Sometimes people come to me. The husband says, choose whatever ring you want. She could choose 5,000, he'll pay. She said, I like this one, $500. I'm like, take this one. It's much nicer. No, too big. I want this. I'm like, wow, what a good wife you have. Many wives, you know what they're gonna say? Oh, I can take anything. What's the most expensive one you have? 35,000. That's the one I want. And there's people like that. There's women like that, by the way. And you know why she's doing it? She wants to groom you, because you're like this, and she's like, I know he has money. He doesn't show me all the money he's making. I know. He keeps her all the bank. Yeah, she looks at his checking account. It's got $2,395.52. Meanwhile, it's got $2 million stored some other bank, which is the Bank of Nova Scotia. Why are you laughing? It looks like you have something like that, huh? Be careful, the amak is over here. Like, girl, my friend, don't give it away. You hear? So he says, why did she do that? Because she wants him to open up. But you know what? If all the cards are open, a woman is not like that. If you fill her up with beautiful emotions inside, if you make her number one, if you're very generous believe me, she's going to be worried about your money more than you're worried about your money. You understand? A husband that argues with his wife about money axes the very limb that he sits on. By saving a few pennies, he loses hundreds and possibly thousands of dollars by dulling her soul's illumination. He loses the income that her soul's illumination generates. Even if he thinks he's saving thousands of dollars by limiting her spending, his income problems will only increase. And at the end, what happens? He pays hundreds of thousands of dollars to lawyers, and then he gives us half of his fortune. Now imagine, if you keep her happy with this $5,000, yeah, every, let's say, 4 or 5 months, Yeah? Let's say in a year, that's what, 10 grand? Multiply that by 20 years, how much is that? $200,000, yeah? We're all worth at least $5-6 million, no?
Yes.
Imagine. If she says tomorrow, I want a divorce, you gotta give her $3-4 million. So for 20 years, you're gonna maintain her for $200,000, right? 5,000, 6,000, yeah. Louis bag, Gucci bag, whatever it is, yeah. You're saving yourself from losing millions and millions of dollars and heartache and this and that. That's what he's saying. He says the way to better his financial position is to be a man of valor and to do his job of making a living. This entails extensive prayer to Hashem and mending his ways. By the way, when he says mending his ways, whenever he says mending his ways, you know what that means? Watch your eyes, watch your brain, watch your thoughts. That's what he says by mending your ways. Pray to Hashem and mending your ways. You have to fix what you're doing.
If I do this, I'm gonna get this. No, it doesn't work. You have to do both.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
In addition to any necessary practical effort, he must assume the responsibility of his obligations in any necessary manner without expecting her assistance or understanding. You hear? He says, don't expect her to understand anything. She's not here for her to understand anything. Yeah? A lot of times, the husband's like, I don't understand her. She's not here for understanding. On the contrary, the husband must make his wife happy by her presence, give her money to spend, and fulfill her needs. By doing so, her soul will radiate and he will reap the benefits of an adequate income. Bikitsur, we're living in a spiritual life. When we think we're in control, by holding the money from her, by making this, by making that, Hashem says, okay, you want to manage the world? No problem, go. And what do? Well, we can go and manage this world? Absolutely not. See, by following spiritual directives, he says, I got it. The whole path is going to come down to you. Our sages said, one should always be careful of the wife's honor, for the blessing in one's household is by virtue of the wife. For it is written, Bereshit, and Abraham benefited because of Sarah, because of her. Rabbah said to the townspeople of Mechoza, honor your wives so that you will become wealthy. He's bringing you all the psukim of everything that is written. What? Bereshit says that. Why Abraham says, all my riches are because of you, Sarah? What is it? What was he? How do you call that? Lapshu vessel? No. He's giving us halakha. Maybe someone will say, I don't need wealth and I don't feel like honoring my wife. Yeah? That's a lot of us. You know what? Forget my wealth. I don't want to honor my wife. In that respect, the Gemara says that 3 things bring a person to poverty. One of which is when the wife curses her husband in his face. Rabbah comments that she curses him because he has money, but he's too stingy to buy her jewelry. Tractate Shabbat, page 62. Here? He has money? Yes, money.
Yeah,
and she's saying, I like those earrings. I want this. Oh, she has this ring. She's giving you hints, my friend. Where is it? Even though she has 50, she wants 51. She has 60, she wants 61. Here? It says, the above mentioned Gemara passage teaches that for a woman, jewelry is not a luxury. It is a needed element for the health of her soul, Yom HaYom. It's medicine. Jewelry is medicine for a woman. Without it, she feels a deep distress. Otherwise, it's impossible to understand why a wife would curse her husband simply because he doesn't buy her jewelry. We also learn that if a husband doesn't honor his wife enough to buy her jewelry, he not only forfeits the blessing of wealth, but he also falls into poverty. Says you're going to become poor, chas v'shalom. A person might continue to argue with the Gemara and maintain that he doesn't need to buy his wife jewelry if he cannot afford it. Afford to is a matter of priorities. You hear? Meaning, I cannot afford it. He's no. It's a priority type of thing. Why? Yeah, because many of us, I cannot afford it. We buy a nice watch for ourselves. Yeah, one guy I know, he bought himself he was thinking of buying himself a $25,000 watch. But he said, no. If I buy a $25,000 watch, she's going to say, oh, sure. What about me? So he bought himself a $12,500 watch. Because kilo, 12.5. Now she's telling him, I want a Cartier, costs $4,000, $5,000. He said, no, we don't have money. So imagine, Imagine she's thinking, yeah, you bought yourself $12,500 watch. I want a $4,000, $5,000 watch. You tell me you don't have money? What kind of... So again, if she tells him in his face, right? If she tells him in his face, now that's already... but she doesn't tell him in his face. She just tells him, you don't want to give me the watch? So she's thinking, I don't understand. So what am I then? Where do I fit in your levels of, of husbandry? First, you take care of yourself. By the way, for many years, during this COVID, it was a man's jewelry type of era. So I would see many of this. Guy comes with a woman, yeah, his wife or whatever. He's like, yo, what you got? This. So he big, okay, I'll take that. 5,000, 7,000, 8,000, and then he goes like this in front of her. What do you have for like $500 for her? And I didn't understand that. And you know what? One guy, two guys, three guys, and I'm thinking, yo, what's with these women? They're there standing. He does. Nah, 900 is too much. $500. I just want to get something for her. He's spending $20,000 on himself, $10,000 on himself. He wants to give her a $500 item, But this goyim. No, a lot of them are their wives too. And like that, I would see couple after couple, and I couldn't understand that. Yeah, he says so. Afford to is a matter of priorities. Many men don't have spare cash, but if they really want to, like a digital camera, new iPod, tickets to NBA, whatever, they find the way of the means to get it. If a husband moves his wife to the top priority, he'll undoubtedly find ways and means to provide for her with her needs, in this case, jewelry. Here, it says when he needs money, he knows how to get it. But when it comes to her, no, it's that sweetie, we have tuition, we have this, we have that, mortgage. He says, Rab Nachman of Breslev says, that a constricted mind, which in money matters means pettiness, is a reason people fall into debt. Therefore, one should not be petty with one's wife, and certainly not demand a detailed report for every cent she spent. This won't help his financial situation. Chai, what'd you do with the $200 I gave you? Okay.
No right to ask?
Okay. Yeah, okay. No, he's saying being petty. What's $100, $200? So she brought shopping. You're like, yeah, but there should be like $35 left. What did you do with that money? If it's $5,000, $10,000, yeah, there's people like that.
But can she ask her husband what did you do with the money?
Again, if it's petty, the reason she's asking, it means that you're not fulfilling her somewhere. That's why she's asking. Because she's thinking, why is he so particular about what I spend? But when he's spending, that's why she's going to ask, listen, sweetie, why in the bank account there's $5,000 missing? Where is it? What's going on? There's a lack of something that she's lacking, that she's now, because if she has full trust in you, and you filled her with complete, spiritual gasoline, as I'm going to call it, yeah, she doesn't care what you do. I know you.
They have credit cards. They have credit cards. They use whatever they want.
Oh, your wife can buy whatever she wants?
Yeah.
Oh, then this is not for you.
No.
This is not discussion. One second. After class we'll discuss. Yeah? He says, on the contrary, to escape debt, one must generously give money to his wife and avoid arguments or criticism about how much he spends. When a husband opens his heart and his wallet to his wife, giving her good feelings and trusting her judgment to use the money as she fits, then Hashem will open up the gates of divine abundance for the husband so that he'll be able to give to his wife even more. See, again, this is emunah. We think, no, how could I have $20,000 in my bank. She wants a $5,000 watch. How am I going to do that? Hashem said, Durak. Hello, Mullah Baruch. In order for you to get more money, you got to give to her. You're like, no, we make it. He says, Brat, give. I give you more. It's a big concept. We all have to learn that, but it's a big concept. Yeah, he's telling you. He's guaranteeing you.
Also, Hashem said, test me.
Yeah. This is more important than Maseh. This is more important than Maseh. And you know how many people do that?
What?
After giving a little bit, like they don't see it right away. They're like, nah, maybe 10% is too much. So they start giving whatever they can. Yeah. Well, I got tuition, I got this, that. They make all cheshvanot to try to avert that.
Look at the wording he's using next.
The next one. A husband should forget about the money the very instant he gives to his wife. It shouldn't matter to him what she does with it. He shouldn't argue with her about the way she spends it. If he does, If he doesn't have the money she needs, then he should be a man of valor and take the proper steps in a material and spiritual effort to attain what she needs. Providing for her is his solemn commitment and his problem, not hers. You hear what he's saying? In order to your question about 10 minutes ago, you're not supposed to ask what she does? No. Sweetie, I need money. No problem, Janam. How much you need? This much. Okay, here you go. See, it's a combination package, right? If you're not giving her the emotional support, if you're not putting her number one, if you're not, and then you do this, she'll rip you. She'll rip you, and that's what she wants to do. But over here, he's saying,
if you don't give her those support,
he's saying like this. He's saying, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6. Do all that. And chapter 11, give as much as you want to her. You're going to see abundance coming down. Why? First of all, she's going to care about you. She's not going to waste it, unthinkingly. She's not. You understand? And therefore, don't be a policeman. He goes, the first words that a husband commits to the ketubah, the Jewish marital contract, is besiyata dishmaya, which means with Hashem's help. That's the first thing we read. Besiyata dishmaya, they start reading, yeah? Emunah, the pure and complete faith in Hashem, is what's needed to rely on Hashem's help. Without emunah, a husband is hard-pressed to meet all his obligations to his wife. Therefore, emunah is the first of the husband's commitments. His second commitment is go to work. This is explicitly in the ketubah, to shut the mouths of the lazy false believers who roll their eyes, shrug their shoulders, and say, Hashem will provide. When the wives of these holy, quote-unquote, deadbeats complain that they have no money, the husband scolds them and say, don't you have any trust in Hashem? Where is your emunah? He says, you cannot just sit like this. Hashem will provide. No. You get up, you got to go to work. You're a barber, you're a shoe guy, you're a jeweler, you're a dentist, whatever, you got to go to work. Here, our sages foresaw the phenomenon of the pseudo-holy, lazy husband, and therefore made him sign a written agreement, which is an integral part of the ketubah, to go to work.
Pseudo means false.
No. Pseudo-holy
Not-
is
not true.
partially holy. Yeah? He says, it's his job to go to work and make a living, not hers. It's not his job to teach her faith and trust in Hashem, nor to lecture her about emunah. If our sages would have wanted to put the burden of livelihood on the wife, then they wouldn't have required the husband to make a signed commitment to go to work. You hear? So tell your wife, sweetie John, you don't have to work, stay home.
That's
Don't-
what Rabbi is saying.
Don't argue, dear reader, with the fact that many of our sages lived in utter poverty. Know fully well that they lived within their means and did not owe a cent in the world. Indeed, they were happy with their lot. One who is happy with his lot in life conveys the feeling to his wife that they lack nothing. He says, don't start saying, oh, this rabbi was poor, he lived in a shack, and this rabbi like this. I said, that's how they wanted to live, and they lived happy like that.
Abraham,
But you cannot commit
what we do with the house?
with the.
If the wife said, I want a bigger house.
You know what? Hashem will give you a house. It's the thing that you have to. Yeah. It's again a lack of emunah, because you think you're in charge. You understand? You think you're in charge, and therefore no. You got to get there, and you got Hashem. My wife wants a bigger house. You understand? I want a bigger house. Yes, and you pray for it. Now, if you're fully in, you're fully in. If Hashem gives. If He doesn't give. But at the end of the day,
Again,
it's not that.
you could technically do it, like you said.
No.
You said you could borrow
So
money.
listen, right now,
Technically, whatever
$1 million loan means $10,000 mortgage. If you're not making money for $10,000 mortgage, you cannot. But if you're making $10,000,
you
$15,000.
have to, in order to
No, he said no. He didn't say you have to be. He didn't say you have to be stupid. If you're not getting an income of $10,000, you cannot get a loan that's
I
gonna.
also said if you have $20,000 in your bank account and she wants a $5,000 win,
Yeah, you give.
Don't think.
Yeah, you
What's the
give.
difference?
No, it's a big difference.
What's the difference?
I'll tell you the difference.
No,
If you, it's not a contradiction. Can I get a loan from the bank right now if I'm not making 10 grand? I will never be able to get a loan. So how are you going to get a house?
No income verification.
You cannot. You cannot put yourself into a situation where you cannot pay the money. Anyway, this is not a discussion of what you think, what I think. At the end of the day, you have to use your head. If you know you cannot pay, no. It's one thing you have 20,000 hidden, and she wants a $5,000
No, but
watch.
you just said
One
if
second.
you have loans that you owe people,
Yes.
you still should give it.
Yeah, you know why? Because you have $20,000 hidden. This is called your reserve. Well, listen.
Okay.
I'm going to explain to you. You have a reserve,
Yes.
20,000.
Yes.
You're making money.
Yes.
You're gonna pay from your salary the $1,000 loan that you have. You're gonna pay. What you're thinking? Why should I touch that reserve to buy a $5,000 watch? Where I have loans over here. That's it. So leave that alone. Leave that alone.
No reserve.
What will you say? No reserve. No reserve. No reserve.
Yeah, no reserve.
Oh, so you don't have.
Again.
You know why you have no reserve? Because you like this with the wife. Yeah, that's what he says. That's what he says. It's a circle. It's a circle. It's a circle. Listen to this. He says, here's a story that teaches the proper approach to making a living. A man asked for my advice in the Erev Shalom Bayit. He told me that his wife had complained incessantly about their inadequate livelihood. Anna, your question. I asked him how he reacts to her complaints. He says that he tells her to strengthen her faith and to trust Hashem. He told me that she responds with even more anger. I explained to him that his words are no consolation to a wife. Instead, he's the one that should strengthen his emunah and trust and do everything in his power, including more prayer and tangible efforts to solve the problem. You hear what he told her? She's like, sweetie, we need this, we need that. He's like, have emunah. Everything's good. Hashem provides. He says, what are you telling her to have emunah for? Well, you have emunah. Why are you telling her to have emunah? He says, you have to have emunah. Start praying. Start doing that. He says, you give your wife the feeling that income... He says, you give your wife the feeling that income is her worry. I explained to him. By telling her that she needs to strengthen her faith, you're conveying the message that your financial problems are her fault. When he says to her, emunah, that gives her feelings of guilt and frustration, which she releases onto you. Instead, you assure her and place all the responsibility on your shoulders. You're supposed to, yeah, we need, no problem. You got it. Bezat Hashem, I'm going to bring it to you. Don't worry about it, yeah? Don't start to, we have to have emunah, Hashem provides, this and that, start eta. He says, many husbands, by blaming their income problems on their wives, not only sadden them, but insult them. According to the terms of ketubah, it's the husband's sole responsibility to feed, provide, and to clothe his wife. Remember, the Torah in Parashat Bereshit says, you shall eat bread by the sweat of your brow. This is the curse of having to work hard in order to make a living. But this curse was said to Adam, not to Chava. He's the one that has to work in order to make a living. Our sages say that a wife is like a yoke on a husband's neck. Right? Sometimes we feel that. Right?
Yeah.
That she's a yoke. Yeah? This means that making a living is his responsibility. They could have said that marriage is a yoke on a couple's neck. Yeah? They could have said marriage, husband and wife, is a yoke on a couple's neck.
A wife is a yoke.
A wife is a yoke on a husband's neck, but they didn't, because it's not a wife's responsibility, even in part, to earn an income for her family. Even if the wife is a woman of valor who contributes to making a living, or is even the sole provider, whenever financial problems arises, the husband must meet the challenges and solve the problem. You hear? Once a rabbinical student approached Rabbi Ben Zion Abba Shaul. In our times, he passed away recently, of saintly blessed memory. The student claimed that he couldn't afford to buy his wife a new dress because he devoted all of his time to Torah study. In that case, the rabbi said, close your Gemara, get a job, buy your wife what she needs. This is the sole obligation according to the terms of the Ketubah. We see from here just how serious a husband's obligation to provide for his wife. You know what he said? Rabbi Ben Zion Abba Shaul said, you can't buy her dress? Close the Gemara, go work in McDonald's, buy her a dress.
But we see many people right now that are married to learning guys, right? This and that.
I don't think he'll be if she takes the responsibility, if she takes the responsibility. Now she's taking responsibility. Remember what we said. But let's say in the middle of the marriage, she's like, I can't do it anymore. He has to get up and start working. You hear? A husband should never give his wife the feeling that he's incapable of making a living. He should never say no. If his wife asks for something, he should promise to do his utmost to fulfill her request. In that case, Hashem will provide for him. A wife looks to her husband, and the husband should look to Hashem. She looks at you, you look at him. You hear? It says, the Shevet Musar writes, don't mention anything to your wife about your financial straits. for they can support you. Oh, huh?
It's family, not wife, family.
Where say? By me it says wife.
Don't
Yeah.
mention it to your family about your financial
Oh,
state.
don't mention anything to your family. Sorry, that one, family.
Yeah.
Did I say wife?
It's a wife.
Sorry.
Family.
Yeah, about your financial straits. They can't support you. A wife doesn't have the emotional and spiritual wherewithal to cope with her husband's financial problems, since it's not her responsibility to make a living.
He's supposed to talk to you.
Not her. She's not your punching bag. All you gotta.
You're a family together.
No. That's where we're lacking. That's where we're lacking. You know what we're lacking? We think we can tell her everything. No, she gets emotionally drained. And then she feels that it's her problem. Because when you come and say, I don't know, it's a little bit difficult, there's no money, I haven't cut so much hair, now she's thinking, Belin, what's going on? Is it my problem? Am I doing something wrong? It's not her problem. To her, you're supposed to say, "Ishtabak shemulad." Wow, what a day I had. You didn't cut one person. It's a beautiful, this way you pamper up so nicely. She's thinking, wow, my husband is great. Yeah? He said,
She has the light.
exactly. And it'll, yeah. He says, a wife doesn't have the emotional and spiritual wherewithal. This is not her. Since it's not her responsibility to make a living. Since income is the husband's concern, he should listen to her complaints, for it's his job to support her and not the other way around. In Hebrew, to marry and to carry is the same word. Laset. Yeah? To marry and to carry. When a husband marries a wife, it's his job to carry his wife. Kilu, yeah? Which means making a living and supporting her. Our sages say that a man marries, play on words, and carries a woman, and not the other way around. From experience, when a husband burdens his wife with financial woes, in addition to the problems already at hand, he'll have to contend with his wife's anger, complaints, frustration, making his dilemma even worse. Her having to contend with financial problems breaks her and saddens her to the end. On this, I want to add, marry and carry, he's talking about financially. But guess what? Shalom Bayit is also the same thing. Many men say, no, it's her fault. She doesn't have the ability to do Shalom Bayit with you. She doesn't. Why? Because you're the quote-unquote man, yeah? Many people have been complaining to me, I don't want to be I don't know how to say that. No, Patkovnik, whatever Patkabluknik, what is that? I don't want to be how do you say that in English? For our listeners. Yeah, I don't want to be a person that... right, I don't want to be under the heel of a woman. My friend, when you want her to fix the Shalom Bayit, now you're under the heel. Why? Because you're saying, I'm not man enough to cover this. I'm not man enough to make the situation work. And that's where you're acting like a mop. But if you want to act like a man gets up and tries this way and it doesn't work. And tries this way and it doesn't work. And tries this way and it doesn't work. And tries until it works. That's a real man. Why? He doesn't give up. But many of those who just gave up, I don't want to listen, it's all for fault. He's actually acting like this patkablugnik or whatever you want to say, as this mop that's on the floor that can't do anything. You understand? He says, finally, as for money management, a husband has three alternatives. One, he can manage the money. Two, they can manage the money together. Or three, he lets her manage the money. The first two alternatives often lead to bickering and disagreement, since the husband oversees and frequently criticizes his wife's expenditures. Also, if anything is lacking, then the wife blames the husband. But when the husband gives free financial rein to his wife, he wins 4 times over. How? First, he shows her that he trusts her, and this gives her the wonderful feeling of security. Second, she has no complaints that he's holding back anything from her. Why? Because she's managing everything. Third, if his income is limited, she'll steadily be more understanding of their situation. And fourth, they'll save the wear and tear of arguments about money. You hear?
It's a beautiful secret.
It's a beautiful secret. I don't know if I'm ready to do that because one thing you have to know. He gives us 3 options. He gives us three options. He just says that the third option won't create this, will create this four problems. But if a person is managing his finances as he is, by giving to her when she needs, by not questioning her what she spends, then you're okay. She won't question you as that. Yeah? So with this, Be'ezrat Hashem, Baruch Adonai Olam, Amen, Amen. We'll continue on Sunday.